Greetings. Before I tell this story, I would ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stories like this. And now we begin our story.
Shadows of betrayal. Seraphina. Drake sat by the window, the soft glow of morning light barely piercing the veil of her thoughts. Each flutter within her felt heavier now, weighed down by the secret knowledge that Calder Voss, the man she loved, was crossing skies to meet Isolde Fenwick every month. The word betrayal seemed too small to capture the storm raging inside her. How could she protect her unborn child while shadows stretched longer in every whispered lie? The truth came knocking unexpectedly. Elowen Marsh, ever the sharp-eyed assistant, had uncovered flight manifests hidden deep within the archives of Calder's schedule. The patterns were undeniable. Month after month, Calder boarded flights under the pretense of business trips or checks on his aerial missions, but every journey ended in the same fading silhouette of Isolde waiting at the terminal. Seraphina's heart clenched when Elowen shared the details. It was not chance. It was a ritual, a habit that Calder would risk everything to maintain. Martellus Quinn, trusted friend and guardian of Seraphina's vulnerabilities, stood firm beside her. His booming voice carried more than command. It resonated with resolve. "We cannot let Thaddeus Gray's schemes exploit this weakness," he warned. Thaddeus, the dark specter in Seraphina's life, had a reputation for manipulation, weaving chaos through Calder's distant flights and shadowy connections. Seraphina knew that if Thaddeus caught wind of these secret meetings, her pregnancy could become a pawn in his ruthless game. Meanwhile, Leora Bennett, the quiet witness to many of Calder's past choices, offered a sliver of hope. Her loyalty was not given lightly, but with every detail she revealed, Seraphina found fragments of a different Calder, one tangled in regrets and controlled by a past he couldn't sever. Leora explained Isolde was more than an ex-lover. She was an enigma wrapped in silence, holding keys to secrets only Calder dared whisper. This complex web of relationships spun a narrative far darker and deeper than Seraphina ever imagined. Determined to reclaim control, Seraphina crafted a plan that leapt beyond mere confrontation. Trusting Marcellus and Elowen's expertise, she began piecing together every intercepted call, every coded message snatched from shadowed corners. They discovered an unsettling pattern. Isolde's presence was not innocent farewell, but part of a larger stratagem, hinting at alliances that threatened both heart and future. Each discovery deepened Seraphina's resolve, transforming her fear into a burning emboldenment to fight back. The nights grew restless as Seraphina wrestled with betrayal's bitter taste. She replayed moments of intimacy with Calder, searching for hints she missed. Her intuition, sharp and unyielding, whispered warnings she could no longer ignore. Was the man flying across skies truly torn by remorse, or was his involvement with Isolde a calculated betrayal? The line blurred agonizingly, making every heartbeat uncertain, every breath a calculated risk to the fragile life growing within her. Elowen became more than assistant. She was confidant and strategist. Together, they pored over murky details, tracing financial transfers masked as aviation expenses, all pointing to an undercurrent of secrets. Elowen's analytical mind found clues hidden in plain sight, like coded dates matching Isolde's appearances, unexplained detours that suggested sensitive meetings not meant for Seraphina's eyes. The trust in Calder cracked under the weight of proof, each shred unraveling the protective cocoon Seraphina once believed in. Martellus's unwavering support was a fortress in the storm, his protective instincts sharpened by years of battling Thaddeus Gray's dark maneuvers. He prepared for confrontations yet unseen. "If Calder remains entangled in this, Seraphina, we must be ready for every outcome," he cautioned. His pragmatism was a steadying force, but behind his stern demeanor lingered genuine concern for Seraphina's well-being and the life she carried, reinforcing that she was not alone in this tempest. Isolde Fenwick, the elusive figure threading through these betrayals, remained shrouded in mystery. Through pieced-together accounts and Leora's discreet observations, Serafina glimpsed a woman caught between desperation and cunning, a woman wielding her past relationship like a double-edged weapon. Isolda's motives were cloaked in layers of pain and ambition, hinting that farewell visits concealed dealings far from affectionate closure. Each revelation peeled back another layer of the enigma surrounding Calder's frequent flights. As days folded into weeks, the tension thickened. Serafina knew time was a ruthless adversary against her and the unborn child she vowed to protect. The tangled web of deceit risked not only breaking her heart, but shattering the fragile hopes she harbored for a peaceful future. She confronted the raw truth. Love had turned into a battlefield, strewn with secrets, and every move Calder made carried consequences that reached deep into her soul and the life yet to be born. Drawn into the conspiracy orchestrated by Thaddeus Gray, Calder's secretive visits grew increasingly dangerous. Serafina and her allies tracked suspicious interactions, hinting that Thaddeus was leveraging Calder's divided loyalties to manipulate power behind the scenes. The stakes escalated beyond personal betrayal to a shadow war threatening to engulf all connected. Serafina could sense the tendrils of conspiracy tightening like a noose, ready to pull her under if she faltered. Despite the shadows surrounding her, Serafina found flickers of strength in unexpected places. Martellus's relentless faith, Eloin's unyielding sharpness, and Leora's cautious solidarity forged a shield against despair. Together, they unearthed encrypted transmissions that indicated Calder's monthly journeys were not mere visits, but linked to intelligence exchanges orchestrated by Thaddeus. The fragile line between personal heartbreak and political intrigue grew impossibly thin, forcing Serafina to brace for battles on multiple fronts. The emotional turmoil intertwined with the looming threats made Serafina's world feel fragile yet fiercely alive. Her pregnancy was no longer simply a promise of new life, but a battleground where love, trust, and survival collided. With every piece of the truth uncovered, her determination hardened. She would confront Calder and Isolde, expose Thaddeus's dark machinations, and protect the future growing within her. The path ahead was uncertain, but Serafina's resolve burned brighter than the shadows around her. As she stood at the threshold of profound revelations, Serafina understood she needed to remain vigilant. Every whispered secret and hidden motive was part of a larger puzzle. The alliances she forged now with Marcellus, Eloin, and Leora would be vital in navigating treacherous waters. The coming days promised confrontation, insight, and the unraveling of Calder's tangled loyalties. Her unborn child depended on her courage to pierce the veil of deception, to rewrite a fate written in shadows. With the cracks in her world growing, Serafina steeled herself, eyes set on the storm ahead. The delicate balance between love and betrayal, hope and despair, hung on the edge of a blade. She would not let the past dictate her future or the future of the life she carried. The next step was clear: unmask the truth fully, confront Calder and Isolde, and face Thaddeus Gray's malevolence without flinching. The journey through darkness was only beginning, and Serafina was prepared to fight every shadow lurking in her path. Flights of deception, Serafina stood by the window, her gaze following the distant horizon where Calder's plane had vanished into the twilight. Each month he disappeared for days, vanishing behind a veil of lies, his trips cloaked in secrecy. She had buried the initial pangs of suspicion deep within her heart, believing in the promises whispered between them. Yet, now that she carried his child, a fragile life growing inside her, every flight he took tore through the fragile trust that still held them together. The weight of betrayal pressed heavily upon her chest as she struggled to process the reality of his clandestine visits to Isolde Fenwick, the enigmatic woman from Calder's past. Her loyal friend Eloin Marsh had been relentless in digging through the shadows of Calder's absences, uncovering disturbing patterns that painted a troubling picture. Though Elowin's findings stung like salt on an open wound, they fueled Serafina's determination instead of breaking her resolve. Together, they pieced together fragments of flights logged at strange hours, hotel stays under assumed names, and whispered conversations captured in stolen texts. Yet, Serafina knew revealing Calder's treachery was only part of the battle. Thaddeus Gray, Calder's manipulative superior, hovered in the background, tightening his grip with calculated malice. Thaddeus was a master puppeteer, disguised beneath a facade of professionalism, but driven by darker motives. His subtle interference had complicated Serafina's life, long before she learned of Calder's flights. Every attempt to expose Calder's infidelity was met with obstructions, threats veiled in courteous tones, and well-placed rumors designed to isolate her. Despite Marcellus Quinn's steadfast support, a trusted confidant who risked much to stand by her, the forces working against Serafina grew increasingly insidious. It was in this storm of lies that Leora Bennett emerged, a witness who could shift the tide. Leora had stumbled into the chaos almost by accident, her courage blazing defiantly against the threats Thaddeus wielded. Her testimony carried the weight of truth, revealing details about Calder's meetings with Isolde that no digital evidence could capture. Leora's alliance rekindled Serafina's hope, fueling a new strategy that combined legal acumen and sheer tenacity. But inside, Serafina wrestled not just with external battles, but with the deepest ache of heartbreak. Each secret flight was a dagger thrust through the life she had envisioned, leaving her haunted by the question, could love survive such deception? As days unfolded, Serafina's strength grew in unexpected ways. Elowin provided a shield of unwavering loyalty and an arsenal of facts, while Marcellus offered the steady presence of a brother-in-arms. These connections became lifelines as Thaddeus's influence seeped into every corner of their world. Calder, once the man she had trusted implicitly, now seemed a stranger cloaked in duplicity. The revelation that he maintained this ongoing charade for months, each flight a farewell to Isolde, fractured Serafina's world into shards, forcing her to rebuild with fierce clarity. The emotional battlefield was relentless. Serafina learned to mask her pain behind measured words in public, yet, alone, she let tears fall freely for the betrayal that pierced her soul. The baby growing inside her was both a symbol of hope and a reminder of the cruelty she endured. The realization that Calder's actions were manipulated by Thaddeus made her question everything about their intertwined fates. Was the pilot merely a pawn in a larger game, or had he chosen to betray her with full knowledge? Leora's brave revelations suggested deeper layers of plotting, making every step forward a calculated risk. Through sleepless nights filled with anguish and fierce resolve, Serafina devised a plan that balanced vulnerability with strength. She needed to protect herself and the innocent life she carried while unraveling the complex web of deceit spun around her. The alliance with Leora proved invaluable. Together, they gathered undeniable proof that could expose both Calder's duplicity and Thaddeus's manipulations. Marcellus became the anchor keeping their spirits grounded amidst the chaos, reminding Serafina she was not alone in this fight. With each whispered conversation and every piece of uncovered truth, the stakes escalated. Despite the turmoil, moments of unexpected grace appeared. Serafina found solace in quiet dawns when the world felt still and hopeful. She allowed herself brief glimpses of the future, imagining a life free from lies where her child could grow surrounded by love and honesty. These visions became beacons guiding her through the darkest hours. Yet, the road ahead was treacherous. Thaddeus's power was not easily undone, and Calder's elusive nature posed challenges Serafina had never anticipated. Trust, once broken, required more than time to mend. It demanded courage and unyielding resolve. Eloin's investigative skills uncovered a critical weakness in Thaddeus's armor, his reliance on secrecy and manipulation to maintain control. Exploiting this vulnerability would be key to dismantling his schemes, but it required precision and timing. Serafina prepared to confront the tangled web head-on, supported by a growing circle of allies bound by loyalty and justice. Leora's fearless testimony had kindled a spark, igniting a fire that would not be easily extinguished. In the face of heartbreak and betrayal, Serafina's promise to protect her unborn child became a rallying cry for strength and defiance. The months of concealment and whispered lies unraveled under the weight of truth. As Calder's secret flights to Isolde became undeniable, the facade of their fractured relationship crumbled. Confronted with evidence and the mounting consequences of his deception, Calder stood vulnerable for the first time. Yet, the path to redemption was fraught with uncertainty. Serafina grappled with forgiveness and the harsh need for self-preservation. The intricate dance of love, betrayal, and power laid bare futures filled with both peril and possibility, compelling her to face the next chapter with guarded hope. In quiet moments, Serafina reflected on the labyrinth of emotions tangled around her. The betrayal by Calder had pierced her deeply, but it was the manipulation by Thaddeus that sickened her most. His control extended beyond flights and secret meetings into the very fabric of her life. Yet, amid despair, the bonds forged with Eloin, Leora, and Martellus reminded her that even in darkness, unity could ignite resilience. The child within her symbolized not just a new beginning, but a testament to survival, a beacon shining brighter against the shadows threatening to consume her world. As the next phase of her journey loomed, Serafina steeled herself for battles yet to come. Dawn of truth and redemption, Serafina stood at the edge of the room where shadows clung like secrets, her heartbeat echoing louder than the ticking clock. This was the moment she had dreaded and anticipated in equal measure. Calder, her once beloved pilot, was here, flanked awkwardly by Isolde Fenwick, whose enigmatic presence had haunted Serafina's nights. Thaddeus Gray's cold gaze fixed on her like a challenge, while Marcellus Quinn and Eloin Marsh stood beside her, silent pillars of strength. The air hummed with the weight of unspoken betrayals, the kind that cut deeper than any blade. For months, Serafina's world had been a tempest of doubt and pain. She had been carrying life within her, her most precious secret, while Calder was flying away almost every month, under the guise of duties, to meet Isolde. The farewells whispered about in hushed tones, now unveiled like cruel truths in the glare of daylight. The betrayal felt like a fracture in her soul, yet within it stirred an unyielding ember of resilience. She was no longer the woman who would silently suffer in the shadows. As Calder stepped forward, the room seemed to shrink around the tension between them. He tried to explain, fumbling with words that only deepened the rift. His frequent disappearances were excuses layered with lies, and Serafina, with every ounce of courage summoned, demanded otherwise. Isolde's icy smile twisted the knife. Years of clandestine encounters unraveling in one room was a spectacle thick with irony. Yet, even in the midst of this storm, Serafina found her voice, not of victimhood, but of defiance. Thaddeus, the antagonist whose interference had long punctuated Serafina's turmoil, stepped in with a sarcastic remark. But Eloin, ever watchful and fiercely loyal, countered with a sharp retort that left the room silent but for the pounding of truth. The energy shifted, and it was clear that Serafina's friends would not allow her to stand alone. Leora Bennett, the quiet but observant witness, added her voice, confirming details only she had witnessed, details Calder had hoped to bury along with his conscience. The confrontation was not just about past wrongs, it was about reclaiming Serafina's life and her dignity. As Marcellus stepped forward, his calm presence was a balm for her shattered trust. He reminded Seraphina that her worth was never tied to another's betrayal, but to her strength to rise despite it. This circle of unwavering support rooted her in the reality that healing and redemption were possible, even after the darkest nights. Calder's facade cracked as Seraphina's truth illuminated the room, a beacon dispelling years of deceit. His remorse was complicated, tangled in regret and selfishness, but it was clear that redemption would require more than apologies. For Seraphina, the path forward was not forgiveness of a flawed past alone, but the forging of a new beginning. Her unborn child symbolized hope, a tangible future she would nurture, free from the chains of Calder's infidelities. Isolda's presence lingered like a ghost, but her power diminished in the face of Seraphina's resolve. Where once she had been a puzzle piece in Calder's deception, now she was a reminder of the strength born from adversity. Seraphina's eyes locked onto the fragile truce forming in the room, recognizing that while some wounds might never fully close, they could shape a formidable courage within her. The night moved toward its inevitable close as conversation softened and the raw edges of pain gave way to tentative hope. Seraphina allowed herself a moment of quiet between the storm and the dawn that was beginning to break. Each word spoken had carved away falsehoods, leaving a foundation built on authenticity and the promise of renewal. As she grasped the hands of those who stood by her, she felt the weight of isolation lift. Their shared journey through betrayal and heartbreak culminated in a collective vow, not just to confront the past, but to build a future where honesty would no longer be compromised. Seraphina's story was no longer about the pain inflicted by others, but about the power she reclaimed, with every breath, every heartbeat. The strength of friendship and unwavering support became her armor, shielding her from the ghosts that once threatened to consume her. As the evening faded and dawn crept into the horizon, Seraphina looked beyond the pain and the shadows cast by deceit. With Marcellus, Elowin, and Leora by her side, she stepped into a chapter defined not by heartbreak, but by hope. Her unborn child, a beacon of light, promised new beginnings born from the ashes of past betrayal. The road ahead stretched uncertain but full of possibility, her spirit unbreakable and ready to embrace whatever came next. The final confrontation had stripped away pretenses, leaving behind only raw, unwavering truth. Seraphina's journey of love, loss, and redemption reached its crescendo in that room filled with faded promises and newfound courage. And as the morning sun rose, it illuminated not only the end of a painful chapter, but the birth of a resilient, empowered future ready to be written. The story was far from over,